Two employees sit in the same company, same role, same output, same expectations. One of them is you, and you've been here for 8 years. The other joined 3 weeks ago, and somehow they're earning significantly more than you. At first, it feels like a mistake. Then it feels unfair. But here's the part that should make you uncomfortable. This isn't unusual. It happens often enough that it stops looking like coincidence, which raises a much bigger question. If experience is supposed to make you more valuable, why does staying loyal so often leave people falling behind? Most people think they already know the answer. They blame a bad manager, weak HR, or poor leadership. But that explanation falls apart surprisingly fast because this same pattern keeps appearing across different companies, different industries, and different countries. That usually means you're seeing the symptom, not the cause. The rule you were taught early in your career, stay longer, become more valuable, isn't completely wrong. It's just fundamentally incomplete. There is a hidden rule running underneath it, and until you understand it, you can do everything right and still fall behind. And that is where your loyalty discount begins. Inside most organizations, resources do not automatically flow to the people who are most loyal, or even the people who are most productive. They flow toward what is hardest to replace. And replacement cost isn't emotional. It's determined by the market. To the system, it doesn't matter how much institutional knowledge is inside your head. It only matters how much it would cost to buy your replacement on the open street. Think about what happens when your company hires someone from the outside. The moment they begin recruiting, they enter a live bidding environment. Multiple employers may be competing for the same person. Salary expectations rise, offers change. The market is actively discovering that person's price in real time. Your company isn't necessarily choosing to overpay them, it's responding to competition. Now compare that to your position. When was the last time multiple companies competed for you while you stayed in the same job? Probably never. You have no bidding war behind you, no competing offers shaping your value, no external pressure forcing your employer to continuously recalibrate what you're worth. Companies try to fix this with annual reviews and salary bands, but those systems share one fatal flaw. They update too slowly. The person joining today enters already priced by the current market. You, meanwhile, entered years ago. If you've ever looked at a new job posting for your own role and wondered, wait, they're offering that now? You've seen this gap in action. Over time, your salary stops being driven by live market competition and starts updating through internal processes. Not consciously, structurally. And this is where almost everyone misunderstands what's actually happening. They assume loyalty changes how much you're worth. It doesn't. It changes what kind of thing you become inside the system. You've probably walked out of a performance review after hearing nothing but praise, only to find the raise barely moved. Instead of continuous market discovery, your compensation now moves through a slower, more insulated process. And the moment you leave that live comparison loop, your market signal begins to weaken. Not because your skills are declining, not because your contribution suddenly matters less, but because fewer forces are continuously testing what you're worth. That distinction is easy to miss. Most people assume they're being undervalued. In many cases, they're simply being underpriced. Those are not the same thing. This is where your loyalty quietly changes the equation. The longer you stay, the more predictable you become. The more predictable you become, the lower your perceived replacement uncertainty. And every system operating under limited resources behaves the same way. It shifts attention toward uncertainty, not stability. Attention, budgets, and urgency follow pressure. Think about the last time everything on your team was running smoothly. Leadership barely mentioned it. So the uncomfortable shift is this. It isn't that the company values you less, it's that you've gradually stopped generating the kind of uncertainty that forces continuous reevaluation. The moment you leave the active market comparison loop, your price begins drifting away from the market that's still moving around you. And if that's true, then the real problem isn't your company. It's a much deeper rule that governs both corporate budgets and human biology. Why do you stop noticing the hum of an air conditioner until it suddenly turns off? Why can you drive for miles and barely remember the road? Nothing disappeared. Your brain simply stopped spending attention on what it believed was stable. It has to. No brain can continuously monitor everything around it. So your mind makes a trade. It constantly reevaluates what changes and quietly pushes stable things into the background. Not because they have lost value, because they have stopped demanding attention. Now bring that idea back to work. The same thing can happen to you. The more consistently reliable you become, the more your presence starts blending into the background of the organization. Not because you're less important, not because people don't appreciate your work, but because stability naturally attracts less attention than uncertainty. That's why companies often react immediately when someone submits a resignation. Suddenly, the same employee who seemed fine yesterday becomes a top priority today. Overnight, meetings get scheduled, budgets suddenly become flexible. What changed? Not their value, their uncertainty. Under limited attention, stable things don't disappear, they simply stop being actively reevaluated. That is the real trap of the loyalty discount. The system still values your stability, but it values it as infrastructure, not as an asset that must keep winning bids in the marketplace. The moment you introduce an outside offer after years of stability, the system doesn't simply update your salary, it updates its understanding of you. You're no longer just a reliable employee, you're someone with proven market access. From that point forward, there's a new variable behind every conversation: your ability to leave. The loyalty discount isn't really about loyalty, it's about how every limited system decides what deserves continuous attention and what quietly becomes part of the baseline. The solution isn't to suddenly become chaotic or toxic. The solution is to force continuous market discovery, to remind the system and yourself that stability is a premium asset that must be continuously purchased, not assumed. That doesn't mean you have to quit your job tomorrow. It means you stop letting your employer be the sole appraiser of your value. You take interviews, you test the waters, you keep your signal active. Because the system only values your anchor when it remembers you have the power to lift it. Look at your current desk right now. Have you become an active asset, or have you already faded into the infrastructure? Let me know your situation in the comments. And if you want to understand the subtle signs that a system is actively setting you up to fail, go watch my previous breakdown next.